Both the real money auction house and the gold auction house will be shut down on March 18th, 2014.
Guys, I did not expect that. G'day, ZiggyD here, and in this video I want to give you guys my reaction and analysis of the announcement to remove both of the auction houses in March next year. This is a pretty huge announcement, probably the biggest one since the launch of the game, even bigger than the expansion packs, I think, and it's going to have a significant impact on the way Diablo 3 is played, and, you know, probably to an extent how much a lot of people enjoy it as well. So, in this video, I'm not just going to be talking about the positives. I'm going to play a little bit as devil's advocate and talk about some of the negatives that will occur out of this as well. I've seen a lot of overwhelming positive response, but as someone who, you know, I've studied business and economics, and I find the idea of a really vibrant economy in games to be really, really interesting. So I can kind of see, you know, both the negatives and positives of this sort of announcement. But let's jump straight into it. Now, in that video, you saw, if you go and watch the whole video, I'll put a link in the description below, they mentioned that the problem with the auction house is that it's just too efficient. It cuts through the reward loop that is inherent, like the main part of action RPGs. Essentially, you kill demons, you kill enemies, and you find yourself sick upgrades. That reward loop is pretty, you know, one step, step two is reward. But with the auction house, that changed that reward loop, that changed how the rewards work. Essentially, with the auction house in effect, you would kill a bunch of stuff, you would get some drops that probably wouldn't be too exciting for you, but you think, nah, they might sell for something. Check on the auction house, hey, that's worth a lot of gold, that's pretty cool, I'll sell that. Then you get that gold eventually, maybe after a day or two, then you save up that gold, and then you spend it on an upgrade, and there's your reward. A couple days later, you don't get it when the item drops, and that kind of ruins the experience. Anyone who knows a little bit about psychology and the rewards system knows that rewards need to be, you know, pretty well spaced out and immediate, essentially. That's why we have things like achievements in games that come at you every 5 minutes. You know, you do something cool, you get a reward. You get that little endorphin rush, it feels good. And the auction house kind of ruined that, essentially. And it also just ruined the longevity of the game, for sure, for sure. People were able to, you know, defeat every bit of content really easily and really quickly. Sure, right at the beginning when Inferno was difficult, it took a while for people to get through that content, but now if someone wants to get into the game, they can pay $5, get 150 million gold, buy a set that will let them do MP10. And that's it. That's the progression. Pretty quick stuff. Not to mention you can power level to 60 in 3 hours. So 3 hours and $5 and you are at endgame. So really affects the progression system in a somewhat negative way. Now, the removal of the real money auction house, originally I thought, yeah, I don't know if this is a good thing or not. Overall, I had to say it was a good thing, but I wasn't too sure, but I kind of changed my opinions. My original thoughts were that the idea of the real money auction house is to make it so that time-poor people who are financially wealthy, so people that are playing Diablo 2 pretty seriously back in the day, who are now at the top of their careers and now don't have the time to spend to get into endgame, they could buy their way into endgame and save that time and still enjoy the game. But I've changed my views a little bit now, and I think that the removal of the real money auction house instead means that sure, those people can't buy their way into endgame directly, but they're probably going to have a lot more fun getting there. Even if they can only play for half an hour to an hour each day, they're probably now, under Loot 2.0 system, without an auction house, going to find their own upgrades every time they play, going to make progression, and have a much more rewarding experience overall. So, nothing really bad to be said about the removal of the real money auction house there. The gold auction house is a little bit more double-sided. As I said before, it's super efficient. Gold auction house is super efficient. And the removal of the gold auction house means that if you want to trade, and if you want to, you know, complete a set of green items, for example, you're going to have to now sit in trade chat and do that sort of thing, or go to like a third-party external site like D2JSP. Not to mention the removal of the auction houses as well is going to mean a huge boom time for third-party RMT sellers, black market sellers. They're going to be making a lot of money come Reaper of Souls for the people that want to essentially get onto that. But it does mean botting is a bit harder, and it does mean that the botting and RMT stuff isn't going to affect the people that don't want to participate in it, which is overall a really good thing. Now, another effect of the removal of the gold auction house means that Reaper of Souls is the content that we're getting from it is going to last a lot better. It's gonna have a much better longevity essentially. So we're not going to be able to instantly buy all of the cool stuff that's dropped for the people that have really pushed really hard into Reaper of Souls endgame. Instead, we're going to be using the actual systems that are being implemented. We're going to have the crafting system, we're going to have loot runs, we're going to have Nephilim trials, we're going to have the Mystic, we're going to have Geed gambling, we're going to have all of these different ways of getting gear, which probably with the auction houses wouldn't be very rewarding. Like, there might not be very much point to do it. So the idea of Loot 2.0 was that it would make the auction houses less relevant. And this is actually why I'm pretty surprised that they've actually removed both of the auction houses. Essentially, with the announcement of Loot 2.0 and the announcement of ladders, I thought, sure, people who want to play Legacy and use the auction house are free to do so. People who don't want to do that, we're always free to do so. But now we're going to have these ladders, these separate things where they can easily not have the auction house at all. And everyone's happy. So I'm pretty surprised they've announced this overall. But Blizzard balled up, they went pretty ballsy, and decided to go ahead and take the next step and completely remove the auction house as a relic of an older time, and probably going to pique the interest of a few people back into the game, even if the auction house was becoming less relevant anyway. So pretty cool stuff, Now, something interesting to think about is the effect this is going to have on gold as a medium of exchange. Gold is, it's the primary medium exchange, which is pretty amazing because in Diablo 2, gold was pretty much worthless beyond a certain point. Trading became done through things like Stone of Jordans and other, high value items that became currency. And I suspect that this same thing is going to happen in Reaper of Souls. I think we're probably going to see a medium exchange becoming the new high-level crafting materials, essentially. And I'm hoping that with the removal of the auction houses, we're also going to see account-bound items no longer being account-bound. The reason for account binding of items was essentially a band-aid fix to some problems presented by the auction house. So with the removal of both auction houses, I expect that we will no longer have a lot of account-bound stuff, and people will be free to trade, trade their demonic essences as a trading currency, essentially. So I think we'll see some of that action happening. Now, something interesting that comes out of this is I actually think it will be worthwhile saving up a bit of gold in the lead up to Reaper of Souls. The reason for this is it's not going to be very easy to make gold in Reaper of Souls, and you want gold to do crafting, trading, gig gambling, all that kind of new stuff. There's going to be a bit of a gold bottleneck there if you don't already have a ton of gold. Now, the reason gold isn't going to be really traded, like you can't just get a sick legendary drop now that isn't good for you and put it on the auction house and make a bunch of gold out of that, and to which you can feed into GAH, essentially feed your gambling habit. But you're no longer going to be able to do that. The only way to make gold really is going to be by picking it up, selling stuff to vendors, getting it as rewards from the Nephilim trials and stuff like that, which might be pretty legit depending on how much gold they give out. But all otherwise, to find someone on TradeChat who is willing to trade gold, and those people will quickly dwindle in number, and there'll only be minor amounts of gold being traded around in terms of the volume of trades. So it might be a bit worthwhile saving up some gold to take into Reaper of Souls with you for that purpose, because once those auction houses go, it's not going to be so easy to make gold anymore. So use the opportunity now to make a bit and just save a little bit in the bank for use in those crafting systems, essentially. But this does present a problem. As I mentioned, people are going to have to either go to third-party websites now or sit in TradeChat and try and get trades. But I suspect Blizzard is going to announce an alternative system to the auction house. Now, the problem with the auction house is, again, it's too efficient. So they have to make a system that's not too efficient. So that means, we want something more efficient than sitting in TradeChat. So we're going to have to find this balance. And I think the perfect system has already been talked about by Grinding Gear Games in Path of Exile, and that is having browsable stash tabs. And I would be surprised if we don't see something like this announced at BlizzCon, because it seems like the perfect solution to me. You have an extra stash tab, you put your sick drops in there that you want to get rid of, it's browsable by the public, maybe even you get a Battle.net page that you can link to, you can link it on your website, you can link it on your Twitter, you can link it on your Facebook, people can go check that out, they say, hey, he's got a set item I need to complete my set. To complete my Zuni set or something, I need to... I'll send him a message. You can't. The important things are you can't list a price in that. All you can do is show I have these items and I'm interested in trading them, and then people have to contact you with an offer. You have to do the haggling, find a good offer, which can be pretty fun. But at least having a way to browse these items and find these items, I think, will be key. Find people that have items to trade that you want to trade for. And I think that will be the perfect solution. I really hope we see something like that. And yeah, be interested to hear what you guys think about this announcement overall, and maybe my idea for browsable stash tabs as an alternative to the auction house. Pretty cool stuff. As you know, I wanted to play a little bit of devil's advocate and talk about some of the potential negatives effects. The fact that we might have to sit in TradeChat and do that stuff, but overall it's super minor compared to the extra fun we're going to get out of actually finding our own upgrades now and using all these cool new systems they're putting in with the expansion pack to get our own upgrades and have a lot of fun there. So overall, I have to say, I can't really deny that it's a hugely good announcement, and I'm pretty excited for it. I'm pretty excited to see Blizzard taking these huge steps. I've been seeing a lot of discussion on this on different Reddits and things like that, and people are pretty excited, fixing what is seen to be the major problems with the game. So pretty cool stuff. Anyway, keen to hear what you guys think. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.